Well, looks like it's time, so let's go. Hello! I have feathers everywhere. I'm molting. No, I'm working on a commission set. That's the deadly dice part. I need some feathers for it, but I need the feathers to be slightly smaller, so we're gonna cut some feathers into the right shape. Also, hello, welcome. We've got 3 different sets of dice we're gonna work on today. I've got 2 of them planned out, and one of them I'm just like, I have ideas, but I don't know what colors I want to do yet, so we'll figure that out. But I'm gonna get the commission, all the pieces for the commission set done first. And first of all, I'm gonna get some feathers that are the right size. So I have my notes in my planner here. So you need 1 for the D12, 1 for a D10, and 1 for the D2. So I'm gonna try and use this one that's already kind of broken and get it to the right size. Figure that's maybe a little bit better than using all of the super nice ones. So I'm just gonna try and kind of cut this to the right length. And I'm gonna try and do that so that it looks sort of even, not even, but like natural. So that, and to do that, I'm gonna kind of cut along. It's kind of like feathering hair, I guess. Oh, hey, feathering. That makes sense. That might be a little bit too uneven. So we'll see. I'll see how it looks. Maybe we'll end up doing something slightly different. Cut this down a little bit more. But that's the deadly dice part, and then we have, I'm gonna do a dirty pour, and then I'm gonna do kind of like a reverse dirty pour, as I think I've seen it called, where I put the pigments into the bottom of the mold and pour the resin on top. I'm gonna do it kind of that way, but maybe leaving a little oops. I just completely cut a piece that I did not mean to. Welp. Let's just cut this into the right shape and then go from there. But I'm gonna even do that slightly different, maybe. I'm gonna put down a little bit of resin first, and then put the ink on top, and then pour clear resin over that. And I have an idea for that. I think maybe we'll add some glitter too, because you know, it's always fun to have glitter. Oh wow, this is so fluffy. Such a fluffy feather. I'd be okay with the gash missing out of it. To be fair, I think this still is a little bit too big, so I'm gonna cut off some of this bigger part here. Try and make this slightly shorter. Those might be the wrong scissors, actually. They're smaller, but they're not flat. Let's see if we can get this cut that. Trying to be precise here. Ooh, I'm getting little pieces of feather everywhere as I say that. And yeah, this is definitely not quite, it's too kind of even at the moment, so I'm gonna rough that up a little bit. Well, hopefully that'll look a little bit more feather-like. But that's also, yeah. Oh, anyways. Man, I don't know. I'm not necessarily like tired today. I'm just like, I don't know what to talk about. If you ever have those days where you just wake up and you're just like, I am not built for social interaction today. I'm not having one of those days really. I have people coming over for dinner, but and you know, I'm excited for that, but man, sometimes I just have those days where I wake up and I'm just like, I don't want anyone to talk to me. It's I don't know. There's certain days like it's not that necessarily. It's not that like being unhappy with social interaction thing, but there's also just days where I'll wake up and I'll be like, I don't know how to people today. I don't know how to like talk to people for some reason. Like I'm just out of it or something because trying to interact with folks today, I'm just like I can't carry a conversation. What's going on with that? That's what maybe more what streaming can be like sometimes. I'm just like I don't know how to carry a conversation. How do I hold my hands? Like is this normal? Pay no attention to the lack of eye contact or too much eye contact. I feel like normally I'm pretty okay at holding a conversation though, but man, I don't know. I've always been more comfortable like in groups of people so that I don't have to try and hold a conversation myself with someone. Because I don't know, there's just something stressful about having to try and keep a conversation going. Maybe that's just me. There's just like a certain amount of, it's like how I like having people over for dinner and stuff, but it takes energy to host. It takes just a certain amount of energy to feel like, yes, I must keep the people here entertained. Entertaining, yeah, I guess that's kind of why it's called entertaining if you have people over. You're entertaining guests. Alright, I kind of like that. I kind of like that it has like a chunk missing out of it. It almost feels more natural that way. I'll set that one off to the side. Got our little feather there. I feel like I had a thing of feather bits at one point. I wonder where that went. We'll just set our feather bits off to the side for now. So like I said, I think I need three feathers. Let me think here. So one of them's going to go in the D2. And maybe I might try and make this one actually just slightly smaller so that it'll fit almost perfectly in this D2. Actually, it might fit almost perfectly in this D2 now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think that one will fit almost perfectly in this D2. And I think the other ones, it's not going to be as necessary for it to be like perfectly shaped because they're going to be bent in such a way you won't really see the shape as much. But that one I think will go well in the D2. See it there. So we'll leave that one there for now. But let's get one for the D12. Is it D12? Yeah, one for the D12 and one for one of the D10s figured out. But I'm wondering if I can just like cut off the end here. We'll try that. I'm basically gonna turn this into. Actually, I can get two out of this because I can do the same thing I did for that by cutting this part down, and then I can cut this part down too. Perfect. So we're gonna snip that and put these back in my bag of black flowers, not flowers, feathers. Bag of black feathers. Get that out of the way for now. It's not shedding everywhere. Where did I put? Yeah, I thought I had a thing that had a whole bunch of feather fluff in it. That's okay. Who knows where I put that? I have little containers of things all over the place here. Might be up with the other feathers there, but I'll look in just a minute. I'll get these feathers figured. Yes. My brain just told me that feathers was the wrong word, and I was actually thinking of leaves, but no, I am working with feathers. But yeah, I might be up with the other feathers over there, and I'll look after I get these feathers figured out. Get the shape kind of how I want it. Yeah, like this has this kind of a certain amount of natural feathering along the edge. You see there? And I could keep it at this shape, and it would probably look fine because it's going to be like bent and stuff. But I feel like I want that kind of curve to it a little bit, which won't technically be as natural, but I think it'll feel more natural almost. Because people kind of think of feathers as being a little bit more like tapered. Something to think of feathers is kind of tapered, I think. So we're gonna try and go for that. We might leave it kind of flat on top still. Leave it with some of its kind of natural shape, but I'm still gonna try and taper it a little bit on the edges so that it moves inwards. So yeah, let's see. So the plan for these dice, and this is for a commission set. It's gonna be kind of a mix. Every die is gonna be different. It's another one of those sets, which are always fun to do. But every die is gonna be different, and oh, sorry, I'm trying to get this actually looking soft on the edges. And it's gonna be kind of a mix of feathers and foils, and I have a bird skull that I made. I'll show you. That's kind of supposed to look a little bit singed. Made this out of polymer clay. There's a bird skull. So that's going to go in the D20. And then I also have, and this is where the deadly dice part comes in, I have some nightshade flowers, and we're going to try putting those in a couple of the dice as well. So it's going to be kind of a mix. Kind of a mix of things, but all kind of in that same theme of just kind of the macabre, I guess. Which I'm not complaining. I like the macabre. Macabre? I don't know. I think macabre is easier to say. That's how it's spelled, though. I think I looked it up at one point because I'm like, wait, which one is it actually? Is it macabre or macabre? And it was just like, you could say it either way. I'm like, all right, okay, that's fair. I guess that works then. And it's still like a little bit too even along the sides. I'm gonna try and make it a little bit less even on the sides. There we go, that's a little bit better. And I'm gonna try and work it into the soft part on the top so it looks like it matches. Yeah, that side's a little bit better. We do the other side as well. Oh man, let's see. Yeah, we'll see how long this stream is. That'll affect probably my plans for the rest of the day. I should get some stuff sanded probably. I'm trying to get all of the 7-piece sets that I have made ready for the next shop update. Don't think it's gonna happen. Just 'cause, and I think my holdup is again the polishing time, because things just take so long to polish, and I have a limited amount of space in the tumblers that I use to polish. So we'll see. I might have to get myself another tumbler. Cause I use like a vibratory tumbler and some hardwood and some plastic polish. I sand all of my dice to the right shape, sand them, like polish them up like a little bit, so that they're not like super scratched or anything. And then I throw them into the tumbler with the stuff and leave them there for like 2 weeks. Like they stay in there for a while, because I don't know, it takes that long for them to get to the point that like I guess to get to my standards. There's just I have certain standards, I guess, for how polished I want my dice to be. Plus they feel so soft afterwards. I like how soft they feel. Not like rounded, but just like smooth. They feel very, very smooth. Alright, there's another feather. I think that's probably good. Set this over here. Yes, the D10. Alright. And then I'm going to cut this into another one for the D12. Is it D12? Yes. Yes, okay. Kind of cut out the rough shape and then we'll fix things from there. And I am just doing a rough shape because Like, if it's a little uneven, that's fine. It's fine if it's a little uneven. But I do want to get a good feather shape. Get a good feather shape. You know, I should probably like post to social media and stuff that I'm streaming when I'm streaming. Should I do that? Should I do that now? Should I go post on Twitter? We'll go post on Twitter. Because I like never do that. Sorry, I'm being very you know, I was talking about entertaining and keeping people entertained. This is not what I'm doing. Hopefully, will that work? Oh, there's a space. No wonder. Okay. There we go. We'll just send out a tweet and see if anybody wants to come hang out. We'll see if that affects anything. Who knows? That is something. So like, I have a few different social medias for my dice stuff. I have a Twitter, I have a Facebook, I have an Instagram, and I have a Tumblr. And I feel like they're all good for different things. Like Twitter is more like right now type stuff. Like Twitter's where I would post like immediate announcements. So that's where I just posted to, is Twitter. Because I feel like it's just more in the moment type stuff almost. It's better suited for immediate information. Like Tumblr, things will get reposted and moved around so much that you never know when someone will see the post that you make. So it's not built for announcements where it's just like, hey, in the next 30 minutes, because you know things change, things get moved around so much after that time period, which is just how it's set up. That wouldn't work. And then like Instagram, I feel like Instagram's mostly photo based. It's not really info based, which is fine. I like Instagram, but that's because I like seeing all the pretty pictures of dice and stuff and art and things. That's what I like. So, you know, Instagram works out for me. I guess Facebook could be, because you do have an indication of like when things are from. So I probably could post to Facebook too, but Twitter works. Twitter works. I think it makes the most sense. So I'll just post there and see if anyone sees it. Yeah, you know, I don't know. To be fair, like, I feel like Saturdays, I get more European folks too, because that's just like when the schedules line up. Because, you know, it's the middle of the day for me. I start streaming at noon. So, on Saturdays. But a lot of you know, normally, like, I used to stream all of my streams at 7 p.m. for me. 7 p.m. for me. And then I started being able to, like, see some friends and stuff again, so Saturdays became kind of our dinner and board games night. So I switched it up, and it kind of worked out because, you know, different people can make it and that sort of thing. But yeah, the 7 p.m. is just like a terrible time for a lot of people. I feel like it worked out well for my time zone, but European folks, it's like 3 a.m. You know, you're a couple time zones over from me, and it's 9 p.m. So noon works. I still do stream it at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. But I don't know, it's kind of nice, I guess, having a different time slot too. I guess where I was going with that is I don't know how many of the people that follow me on Twitter, like what time zones they're in. But I guess I don't know for folks here either, like what time zones everybody's in. But, you know, I don't know if it would even work out for folks, like if people will even see it on Twitter. Okay, this is coming along. I'm getting a feathery shape. Again, I think it's not going to be too important how like super smooth it is and stuff, because it's going to be kind of like squished into the mold anyways. So you're not going to see the edges too much. So I think that might be good. We'll just do that for the D12. Where do I put? Let me see, where did I put all of my random black fluff? I thought I had it somewhere. Did I not have it somewhere? Maybe I just put it back in with the other fluff. Huh. Alright, well we're gonna make these feathers very messy. I might steal, oh my gosh. Oh dear, there's fluff everywhere. You probably can't see it on camera, but it's floating in the air. It's almost as bad as the cat hair. Ah! Oh dear. I might steal, oh my gosh. This was a mistake. It's getting everywhere. I might steal a little piece of that for the little, either the keychain or the bonus D4. Put a piece of feather in there. All right, let's see what all we need to set up. So let me pull out the molds here so you can see. So the D20, we have our little bird skull. Here, let me move some stuff around so that I have things off camera that I want off camera and things on camera that I want on camera. I made my overlay recently, and so things are like kind of slightly shifted, I guess. All right, so got our D20 here with the bird skull, and that's gonna have the bird skull, some gold foil, some flowers. So some of these flowers, which we're gonna pull out in a second, and some black smoke. Let me find that's our black ink. Those I might want to put gloves on. I don't know how poisonous those are, but they're poisonous. D12 is gonna have feather. Also black ink swirl and gold foil. So these two are gonna be kind of similar. I might add like a little bit of gold shimmer or something to this one, just because to make it a little bit different from that one. You know, I don't know. I want them to be. I don't want any of the dice to be like so similar that they look like they match, but they don't match the rest of the dice. So I want them all to be in the same kind of color scheme and everything, but different enough that they look like they are all part of the same set. That sounds strange. I want them to be similar enough that they look like they're part of the same set, and I want them all to be different enough that it doesn't look like two of them are part of a set and they aren't with the rest of the dice. Tea. Yum. So I might add something to this one, or we might just end up inking them in different colors. That would help too. We could ink one of them in a color that's going to show up in a different die, and that'll help tie it to that die and make it different enough from the first die. That's how I kind of think about when I'm doing sets where all of the dice are different, that's kind of how I try to think. It's like, what makes all of these dice similar, but what also makes them all different? Because I don't want it to look like two of them are exactly the same and all the rest of them are different. Because that doesn't make sense either if all the dice are supposed to be different. Okay, D12, D10. I often call it the D00 because I have two D10s. One of them has a single digit, the other has double digits. That one's gonna have flowers. Again, these. A gold moon and purple blue resin. So for purple blue resin, I think I want this. I'm gonna grab this purple. We're gonna mix. We want it to be like a dark color. We're gonna mix this with some of the black, and this is actually a very cool black, so it'll probably end up looking a little bit more bluish. If we need to add a little bit of blue, we will. Yeah, I have blue over here that I can add if I need to. And then for the other D10, also a moon, gold moon. And see, this is one of those instances where it's just like, are they too similar? And that's part of the reason that instead of flowers like this one, we're going to do a feather in this one. And this one's going to have a different color resin. It's going to have kind of a dark wine red color, which, to think on how I want to do that, I could do just, here I have my paint chips here. I'm very sorry if this is loud. Wasn't too bad. I could just do the other purple that I have, because the problem with the other purple I have is that it's purple, and if the light shines through it, it looks purple. So this is the purple I just pulled out here. Nice strong purple color. The other purple that I have, where is it? Some of the other purples here are mica powders. That's not what I'm looking for. That one's a color changing one. I can't even, oh, here it is. No wonder I couldn't find it. It looks kind of black on the screen, but it looks kind of brown for me. And that's like, when light shines through it, it looks purple. But when light reflects off of it, it looks kind of reddish brown. So maybe I could use that to my advantage. But no, I don't think so. I think I want to mix some purple and some red maybe. The way that I usually will try to figure out how I'm going to do these things. Although, holding these up to the light, maybe a drop of that purple with a drop of this red, or just a little bit of that purple with a little bit of this red. It's a very pretty kind of reddish purple. So I'm thinking maybe we'll try that. To be fair, if any of these don't turn out, I'll just make another one. Like with the commissions, you get 2 free repours. So if the first set or first die doesn't turn out, then we'll do it again. Let's see here. There's that. So I need my red and I need my weird purple. I'm going for that purple because it's darker, and I want that darkness to it. Because both of these are kind of dark colors. Can't see my notes. Okay. Yes, that's D10. D8. So I have 2 choices for the D8, and I haven't quite decided which one I want to do. So the D8, we could either do like a wine red to a pink ombre with foil and iridescent flakes and stuff in it, so it's kind of fiery. Or we could do a wine red resin with a dark purple blue Petrie in it with some gold foil. So there's options there. I'm leaning more towards the, oh actually, you know what, I'm not sure. I was originally leaning more towards the Petrie, just because I thought that the colors there matched more, but I worry now that you wouldn't even see the Petrie all that well if I have the wine red resin, because it'd be kind of dark. It'd be kind of dark. I mean, we could always just try doing both, too. We could always just try doing both. Why don't we just try doing both? Doesn't hurt anything. So let me pull out another D8. So that one's going to be that. Let me pull out another D8. Yeah, it doesn't. Might as well. Might as well try both ideas. Yeah, so I'm gonna do wine red to pink ombre. I should figure out probably this rose. Probably this rose would be good for the wine red. Man, I should have. Where did I put that? I'm trying to find my purple and red again. Here's this one. Here's this one. I'm just again trying to think of. Yeah, I feel like that might actually be a good progression right there. Yeah, I think that's a good progression right there. And so we'll do that, and we're going to do that with some iridescent foil and some flakes in it. I guess we could do gold, or we could do a little bit of silver in this one, maybe. We're doing kind of gold for everything else. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a mix. I have this here that has like some copper and some other colors in it. Ooh, that's hard to see. There we go. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a mix in this one. Let me figure out our colors here. So I need the rose. I'm gonna need this pink. I'm gonna use that pink for another thing too. So, and then we already have our other color there. I might actually leave this. I'm gonna leave this off the side so that I remember what I'm doing. Have my colors right in front of me. Okay. The other idea for the D8 was to do a Petrie, so I have again my wine color, and then I'll do the purple and we'll probably like the purple and black. Ooh, wait. Well, for the Petrie, I'm just thinking here. So for the Petrie, normally I would do like an alcohol ink with some white alcohol ink, and the white alcohol ink would pull it down. But my issue here is that this isn't actually an alcohol ink. This purple isn't. So it probably would not work correctly. But I could maybe do like a mica powder sort of thing. That's something I've been enjoying recently, is kind of like a dirty pour, not a dirty pour, a Petrie, where you put a whole bunch of ink on top and it sinks down into the resin. But this one, you just mix a whole up resin with a whole bunch of mica powder, and since the mica powder is heavier than the resin, it will try to sink in a very similar way. So I'm thinking maybe we could try to do something with that. So do our wine resin, and then do with some gold flake in it, and then do maybe a mica powder sort of swirl. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, excuse me. I think we're gonna try that. I do need to think then about the color of the thing that we're doing. That's almost a little bit darker because I want it to be kind of a blue. Oh, hi Maggie, and hi Bosun. How you doing? I'm thinking on dice. It has been. How are you doing? This is probably a better time for you. I know we're in different time zones. I am figuring out a set of commission dice at the moment. And it has a little bird skull that I made in it. Look at the little bird skull I made. I'm still pretty proud of how this turned out. Made it out of clay and then painted it. Yeah, maybe don't eat these ones. They also have nightshade in them. That's the deadly dice part. But no, I'm figuring out designs because I had a couple of options for the D8. Either doing like an ombre from like a wine red to a pink, or doing like a wine red with a dark purple blue peachy in it. So I was trying to decide which one I wanted to do. I'm just going to try doing both, I think. But I'm figuring out how I want to do the peachy because the ink that I was going to use is not actually an alcohol ink, so I don't think it would work quite right. So I'm thinking I might try using mica powders instead, but I need to figure out the color. How I'm going to do the color. Alright, have fun! And I'm thinking I'm going to mix some blue and some purple together, but I'm trying to decide which ones I wanted to do. So I'm going to do kind of like a wine-colored resin with some gold foil, and then I think like a dark purple blue mica powder type drop swirl in it. And I think those would be some good color options. The ultramarine blue is definitely darker, which is nice. It's not actually a mica, but it's darker. So I could mix that with probably the purple, and that'd probably make kind of like a dark bluish with kind of like a purple shimmer to it, which might be kind of nice. But I just like the phthalo blue. I'm just a fan of the phthalo blue. It's very kind of, I don't know. It's a very kind of purpley blue, and I like that. Sure, we could mix both of these into the ultramarine blue and see how that goes. Might as well. Let's just do that. We're gonna try that. D6. Gonna have a bunch of different leaves in it. Also with some of the nightshade flowers and some of the mixed copper flake, gold copper. D4, we're gonna do a dirty pour. I have a couple of colors over here. Either, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna be using any extra, so I'm gonna be making this colored resin for this and for this. So let me set this here so that I can remember that I'm gonna be making that color for both of those. And then I might use either the wine color that I'm going to make or the dark blue purple color that I'm going to make in a dirty pour for the D4. Because I wanted to do that with, I think, I'm calling it white gold. It's white, but then it shimmers gold. Some of that, and then I think some black ink is the plan. And then the D2 is just going to be, let me pull the D6 over here. Oh, there's the D6. Where did I put the D6? Did I not grab a D6? I think I grabbed the D8 on accident. Ah! I'm knocking all of my molds over. Yes, okay. So D6, that one's going to be all of the leaves. And then D4 is going to be, okay, let me move these so that I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, D4, that's going to have the dirty pour. I'm going to use either any leftover resin I have from this one with the dark blue purple, or these two with the dark red purple. So in this dirty pour, I think that's going to be the plan there. So I probably want to make a little bit of extra. And then I've got D2, and that one's going to have some gold and the feather. And I've also got bonus keychain and bonus D4, so we'll figure those out. Those are more for any leftover resin that I have. So we'll make a little bit extra of probably both of these colors, and then whichever one we don't use, we can put into this D4 and this keychain. I might put a little piece of feather in there. I think we'll do that. Let me just put a little piece of feather into the into the keychain, because I feel like that'll be cool. That feather's kind of falling apart. You know when your pet is sleeping, so you cut their nails so they can't fight you about it. I mean, not really, but I know what you're saying. I just end up covered in cat scratches, personally. He's still asleep. Aww. Just passed out. I always love that when my cats are just like so asleep. Like they're dead to the world. Alright, let me put these away and then I'm gonna grab my colors for that. Oh, I think instead of this one we'll grab that one. Which pet is this? Is this your, because you have a pet rat, right? Am I thinking? Because that's actually, so, like, your dog. Oh, okay. Because it would make sense for a rat, too. That's, rats are great pets, but, that's my problem with them, is that, like, wherever, I'm, like, somewhat allergic to them, I think, because whenever they scratch me just a little bit with their claws, your rats will absolutely wake up and fight you about it. Yeah, whenever they scratch me with, like, their claws a little bit, I get, like, welts. Like, I'm just a little bit allergic, but they're so sweet. Okay. Let's grab our colors. But the dog's just passed out. Yep, so those two, and then I think I want a little bit of the ultramarine blue, which I think is over there. Yes. And that's going to be for this one. You're also allergic, but hasn't stopped you yet. I mean, yeah, that's me with my cats. Both my brother and I are all definitely somewhat allergic to cats, but we're just like, but they're so cute and fluffy. Okay. I'm gonna move some of these off to the side. I'm just gonna set that off to the side for now. I'm setting these, I think, next to the ones, just so I'm trying to keep everything so that I know what I'm doing. That's the thing with the die sets where every die is different, especially if all of the designs are different, is just trying to keep track of what all of the individual designs are. But I think I've got that. I'm going to be leaving this out. I have my notes for the set of dice right here. But I think I have pretty much everything set up for this one. I need to figure out what leaves I'm using, and I need to probably pull some of these flowers and stuff apart because they're a little smushed. Pull apart some of the smushed flowers. I figured I'd do that once I have gloves on for the smushed flowers. Alright, the other two sets of dice. I want to do, it's been a while since I've done like a dirty pour with just some nice, like a maybe black background with, oh man, I'm trying to figure out what colors I want to do. What colors should I do for a dirty pour? I don't have a good red, but I have pink. I could try, I have some newer colors. I've done copper, to be fair. I have actually used this copper in a dirty pour. I can show you. I have them sitting right behind me. Just grab one. So I've done that copper. Did it with like some greens and teal colors. But but I haven't actually tried this pearl one. So maybe we'll try using that in a dirty pour. What color should I try that with? Maybe pink? Should I try doing like a pink and a pearl? Ooh, purple could be cool though. I don't know how well this will work for a dirty pour, but it might be kind of cool. Just add some shimmer to it on the outside. That'd be kind of cool. It definitely needs shaking. But I'm open to ideas on what color I should do with this. I could do like pink and purple and then the pearl. That might be kind of cool. Man, it's all like settled to the bottom. Yeah, so I think we're gonna try out this color. If it'll mix. Ah, there we go. Finally unstuck the actual like thing in there that's for mixing it. It was like buried in the bottom, I think, with all of the pigment. Anyways, what are you up to today, Bosun? How are you doing? Oh, wait, I should show you how much I have left on the crystals. I just need to finish filling this, and then I will be all done. I'm very close. I have less than 1/8 of a cup left. But I get, because I'm getting close. But yeah, let's see color. I think maybe like a pink. I could always do this over, still need to figure out how to put holes in those. You can get like a little tiny hand drill. I think I have one over here. Yeah, like this. I have one that's, I don't have one that's open. But you can get like a little tiny hand drill like this. It has little tiny drill bits. That'd probably be the easiest. Yeah. They're not, I'll be real with you here. They're not like the cleanest on the back either. That was really what I was, because I did not have the time to clean all of these up. But you can see there's like, you can see on the back here. Most of them aren't horrible, but you know, there's a little bit of a, kind of a lip there. But yeah, I would think maybe a little. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, you've got all sorts of, there's so many different colors here. So that one I need to finish filling, but there's definitely a mix of colors. Some pink, some blue, purple, copper, whatever that is. It's like red and black. So, worst comes to worst, you'll eat them. Rock candy. That's right, they're just rock candy. This one's like a really pale blue. Food. My brother, I don't know if he's still working on it, but when I came down here, he was upstairs in the kitchen making a fruit tart. Oh man, I'm so excited. I like fruit tarts. We're having the same friends that we've had over for dinner a couple of times now. Yeah, I love fruit tarts, man. They're just so good. You know, I'm not a huge like super sweet things person, but I do love me some pastries. Okay, so I think we'll do a dirty pour with this and maybe like pink over, maybe over like some purple resin with glitter in it. So we'll try the pearl and the pink over some purple resin with glitter in it, or iridescent flakes in it. I've done like pink and purple and iridescent flakes quite a bit now, but I just like them. I like those colors. We could also do some like kind of iridescent glitter in there, or holographic. I'm thinking the pink and the pearl would look nice together. could also do like blue. I mean, we could do blue and pink and the pearl. That might be a way to go. Maybe blue and pink and pearl. Let's try that. We're gonna try blue and pink and pearl. Cause I like blue and pink together. I'm very what's the word? Predictable. That's the word I'm looking for. We'll do blue and pink and pearl, and probably white with the blue and the pink. Well, I need to do white with the blue and the pink. Yeah, we're gonna do blue, pink, and pearl over white resin, I think. Which actually, then I do need my white. I need white for the other one too. Okay. Cool. I think I've got everything planned. Oh, a pearl white with blue veins. I mean, that's doable. We could do that. That wouldn't even require this. I would just make probably like a pearlescent white resin and then just do a drop of blue. I need to get more blue. This is, I don't know if you can hear that, it's empty. But I'd make like a pearlescent white with like a drop of blue. Just a drop of blue. Let's try that. Why not? We'll use the pearlescent ink later. We're just gonna do, so we'll do a pearlescent white resin with just a little bit of blue ink. Might be cool. Might be cool. Okay, so let me get everything lined up for. Okay, I've got most of my stuff figured out. Let's get all of the pigments and everything into the right spots. Grab some gloves. I need to order some more things. I think I need to order some more gloves. I go through so many gloves. I feel a little bit bad about how many gloves I go through. I was thinking of trying out like some silicone gloves that someone found and sent a link to me. But I don't know, because it sounds like they maybe don't, I don't know, they're difficult to put on and stuff and maybe don't hold up that well. I don't know. I'll look at some more reviews and decide. But for now I have these gloves and they work. Okay. So let's figure out these flowers. I've got these flowers. Solanum dulcimera, bittersweet nightshade. But let's see if we can work some of these apart, because they're a little bit smushed. They came a little bit smushed. There's one flower. Here's another flower. Yeah. There's some like little buds right here that I think I'm gonna put in one of the dies. Oh, there's some flowers attached to that too. Yep, some more flowers. I should really grab a little, here we go. I'm gonna grab another little container and I'm gonna put the flowers into that I'm gonna use, just so that they're out of the way and I don't smush them all. Don't like put my hand into them. But this way I can find them more easily. Oh, is this one? This one might have had a berry or something attached to it. That might be why these are all smushed together. Let's take that off. Alright. Yeah, okay. So let me figure out what I need for all of these individual dice. So the D20, we have the skull, some flowers, some gold foil, some black smoke. I think since we're going to be doing foil and black smoke, we could almost have the flowers suspended in the resin. So I think we could use just some of the little individual flowers. Not like a big clump of them or anything, but just like a few flowers that are floating. So let me just set some flowers over here with the D20. No, it's for a character, someone's character. If they pop in, I'll see if I can show off the character art, but they have like I think it's a Kenku, maybe. It wears like a plague doctor mask and stuff, but they wanted Nightshade, so Nightshade they shall have. This would work out well for the Raven Queen though, what with the feathers and the kind of like death theme. I do have a set of dice that I am in the process of polishing that I think I'm gonna call Raven Queen though, or something like that, because they're like black and like a dark gold swirled, and then there's like feathers in them. I feel like it's gonna be pretty cool. Let's grab a few more flowers to put into the D20. These would work really well for the Raven Queen though. I dropped one. I wonder how many flowers I actually want here, because let's see, I'm going to have, that's probably plenty, because I'm going to have this and some gold flake and a black trail of smoke, so that's going to be plenty of flowers. I know it's the D20, and you can fit a lot in the D20, but with everything else, that might actually be too much. We might not even use all of those in the D20. Let's see here. D12 has feathers instead of the flowers. D00. This one's gonna have flowers. Let's see if we can find any that are on a stalk somewhere. Yeah, I think there's some berries in here. Oops. Yeah, I don't want to. Oh yeah, there's some berries here. Might be cool to use some of those. Trying to pry everything apart a little bit so that I can find all of the flowers and everything, but like I said, they got kind of smushed in transit. Oh, here we go. There's one that has like a flower on the end of a vine for your enemies. Yeah, I don't want to leave any little bits of the plants laying around, because I do have cats that will try to eat anything, and I don't need that. Oh, you have Nightshade in your backyard. Cool. I should have just called you. Like, hey, can I have some flowers? Ooh, see, this one might be cool. There's another berry. Looks like a flower. How do they taste? For the future. Yeah, that's fair, that's fair. I'll know who to call if I need more Nightshade. Ooh. I think this one maybe. It's kind of small, but it's all connected there. It has like a berry, has a flower. That one might be cool. Yeah. Still pulling out some individual flowers. But let's see, for the D12, I kind of want something. Oh, yeah. I've debated that. I don't have like enough flowers that I really planned on drying, but I was looking at that at one point because it's like, that'd be pretty cool to do, like dry some flowers and have them keep like their color and their shape and everything, instead of either having to press them or having them get kind of shriveled up and lose their color. So that'd be cool. I'd be interested to see how things turn out if you do try that. Do you have something that you want to make out of the dried flowers, or you just want to try and dry the flowers because it's cool? That one might be cool, but all right. Let's look in here and see what we got. For the D6, we were talking about doing like collection of buds here, but I think there's actually a couple. I could pull these apart. So let me set that there, because maybe we could use this set for the D10. Just a bunch of cool flowers at work and you want to hoard. Oh, fair. Mix up that in there. I plan to have that be fairly dark anyways, so fairly dark resin. Yeah, we'll leave that, I think, for now. Maybe add one of the here. No, the D6 is gonna have all sorts of leaves in it too. Okay, just a second. Okay, that's actually all the ones that call for flowers, but I think we might add some to this D4. So let me grab a couple. Oh, and actually, I have feather in here, but we'll probably add a couple of flowers to the keychain as well. Because I kind of like having the keychain and stuff tie everything together. It's, you know, extra resin and all that, but we'll just set a couple off to the side here for both the keychain and the D4. Because, you know, it's fun if they have some of the same stuff in it. And then we'll leave our last few flowers. Just gonna pour those back in and you put these off to the side for now. Cool. I think we've got those kind of divvied up. Yeah. So, I think I just need to get all of my pigments divvied up into the right spots now. I'm gonna take these off for now. Those plants probably aren't that poisonous, but keeps me from scratching my face while I'm wearing the gloves. Okay, so we've got the skull, we've got the flowers, we need some gold foil, and we need the black smoke. I'm going to do with just the ink. Don't need to have a separate thing for that, but the gold foil, I'm going to put in a little container. This one looks like it had gold glitter in it. Let's see if we can get all that glitter out. I might just go through and grab all new containers at some point here. Just toss out the ones that I've been using a whole bunch. I should do that. I really need to like clean this space. So I do have mixing cups. So there's one. I'm going to put some gold foil in that. This one also has gold foil. I'm debating if I want to also add a little bit of gold shimmer to this one, just to make it kind of different visually from this one. I suppose this one's going to have flowers floating in it as well, which might make it visually distinct. But that's the thing, like, I'm wondering if I need a separate mixing cup for it, because I could do, like I said, slight gold shimmer in this one as well with the gold foil. Let's do it. Why not? We're going to do it. This one definitely needs a mixing cup, because that one's going to be like a dark blue purple. These two are going to share a mixing cup because they're going to have a dark red purple. This one needs 3 mixing cups because we're going to have a light pink, a pink, and then like a dark wine color. Do that. And oh, this is the dark wine color. Right. So we're gonna be using that color for all 3 of these actually. Wait, no. Yes. Yes, all 3 of these are gonna. This is the one. Yes. Okay. Yes. Both D8s are going to have the dark wine color. Yes. Okay. I know what I'm doing. One of them's going to have an ombre. I'm trying out 2 different D8 designs because I couldn't decide which one to do. So we're trying both. One of them is going to have an ombre with these colors, and the other is going to have like a sort of mica dirty pour. And that's where we need this actually, because this is going to be for mixing those mica colors together. And then I need, yeah, this is going to go into both of these containers along with some foil. Okay. This one I think it's just going to be clear with a bunch of leaves. Oh no, that one actually says we're going to do it with a little bit of the flake to it, so we'll do that. We're going to put a little bit of our mixed flake in there. D4 is going to be a dirty pour. We're going to use any leftover of either the blue purple or the wine red, but we're going to be doing that with some white gold. So I'm going to set that over there because we're going to do a little bit of that. And then the black's going to be ink. And then that one's going to have some gold resin and then some clear resin. So we need that. Cool. That set over there is going to be all. This one's going to be the white, the what's the word I'm looking for? Pearl white, pearlescent white. So we'll just do that. I want a slightly larger container for that because a whole set of dice takes like a full one of these, and then you can't mix it. So we're going to use a slightly larger container. That one, I'm going to do like half. Ooh. Do I want to use the pearlescent white for that too? You know what? I think I'm going to use the pearlescent white for this as well. So my plan for, oh, you can't even see it. I have two sets of molds over here. One of them is going to be a pearlescent white, and we're going to try and do kind of like some blue striations through it. The other one, I was going to do kind of like a reverse dirty pour, where you put the ink into the mold and then you put the resin on top of it. But I was thinking I would put down some white resin and then put a drop of pink, a drop of yellow, and a drop of blue, and then pour clear resin on that. But maybe I will do a pearlescent white before I do the pink, yellow, and blue. Because I was debating if I wanted some sort of glitter or not, but I feel like that would be good right there. Yeah, so I think we'll use the pearlescent white for both of these. So I'm gonna need closer to like 40 milliliters in there. That works out. That's fine. Yeah, and actually I think I want a second container then. So I need one to mix up our pearlescent white in and one to actually do the dirty pour in. So we'll mix up our pearlescent white in this one and we'll do the dirty pour out of that. Perfect. That way I don't get the blue into our white over here. I think that is all of our mixing cups. Let me start getting all of our dry materials into the correct spots. So D20, a little bit of gold foil. Don't think it'll take very much. While the D20 is bigger than the rest of the dice, like it doesn't take that much resin, so. And we don't want it to overpower everything else that's going on in there. So we're just going to have a little bit of gold foil. And a few, I'll add the flowers, I think, maybe individually almost. Yeah, we'll do that. This was also going to have some gold foil. I feel like we could add almost a little bit more to this one because it's not going to be getting in the way of seeing something else. So we can add a little bit more gold foil to this one. And I also want to add some gold shimmer, which I'm going to pull from over here. And I'm not going to take very much of this. It does not take a lot to add some shimmer. So I'm kind of just going to dip my thing in here. And that's going to be enough to give it a little bit of a shimmer. So there's that for the D12. No, none of the D10s because they're going to have little gold moons in them. I do need to figure out which moons. I have like a bigger one and a smaller one. We'll see which one. Oh, I might need to cover those in some. I'm going to want to cover those in some UV resin before we do anything. Remind me of that. I should figure out, I think, whether I want to do the big ones or the small ones. I could do a big one in one and a small one in the other, to be fair. Again, add some visual interest. But let me pull these over here so that hopefully I remember to cover those in UV resin, because they'll be in my way. Okay, so for the Petri one, oh, okay, I need to add, okay, I do actually need 2 more cups for the wine red. And the reason for that is that there's going to be the wine red that's just wine red. There's going to be the wine red that has gold foil in it. And there's going to be the wine red that has the mix-up foil and the iridescent flakes in it. So this one's going to be just wine red. This one, that goes here. That one's going to be just the wine red. This one's going to be the wine red with some gold foil. Again, I do not need very much at all. And then the other one is going to be, and actually that's going to be, yeah, this one's going to have gold foil, and then also I'm going to have my dark purple blue that I want to be heavily saturated with pigment. To be fair, I'm going to want it probably mostly saturated with the micas, but I want some good dark blue. But I'm not gonna add a ton of the dark blue. I'm gonna add mostly the mica, I think. Alright, let's add a little bit of our pastel purple, which isn't all that pastel-y. It's actually a good, like, I don't know, it's a good solid purple. Looks almost blue on the screen there, but it's purple. Add quite a bit of that. Like I said, I want a lot of pigment. Just going in at D8. Okay. A little bit more purple because I want it to actually look purplish. All right, and then we're gonna add some of the phthalo blue. We'll wipe off the majority of the purple from there, but I think we're okay. And I think that's probably good. We're not going to need very much resin, so that'll probably be enough. Let me mix that up and see how it looks. See if it looks roughly the color that I want it. If not, I'll end up adding more purple probably. And it's going to look somewhat different once it's mixed with the resin as well, because the resin, that's why I make all these paint chips, is they sometimes, like, this looks very different from this. Like, there's a difference in color there. This pigment makes this color. This lighter blue makes this very dark blue. So it's good to know how they're going to react. So this is going to end up darker than this. Hopefully with that kind of purple shimmer to it. That's the goal anyway. And then here, oh, my nose itches. We're gonna have our wine red with some of this foil, and actually these are gonna have a little bit of this foil as well. So all of these are gonna end up with a little bit of this mixed foil. It's kind of like gold and copper and all sorts of different colors. Let's spread some of this out. I don't need, it's so staticky. It's just sticking to the sides. Trying to get a mix of colors in all of these. All right, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of iridescent flake as well. A little bit of iridescent flake. That out of the way, because I think that's the only thing that has the mix, but if not, well, that's fine. Alright, iridescent flake. So we want this to be kind of fiery, I think. I think that's kind of the goal. I need more than that. Okay. There's there, yeah, something there, and there, and a little bit of that. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. There's gonna be so little of each color that I think that'll end up being good. Maybe that one, we'll put a little bit more in there. Okay. And that's gonna be our wine red, our darker pink, and then our lighter pink. Set these off to the side. Might need those again, but I don't need the iridescent flake again. That's fine. Let me set these out of my way, because those are kind of in my way at the moment. All right, the leaves. What was the plan there? Oh, that one was gonna have a little bit of the mix of different metals as well. That's what it was. It's like I feel like there was something else that used this combination. What was it? Yes, it's the D6 here. We have kind of a mix of some different colors. I think mostly gold. We don't need very much for this one either, because we're also going to have a bunch of leaves in there. So this is just kind of an afterthought almost. Just add a little bit of something. Okay. There's that. Dirty pour, we want some of this. I don't know why I'm grabbing the mold. I don't need the mold. But this is the white that then shimmers gold. I'm gonna have a little bit of that. What's going on with my? Here we go. There we go. There's one. That's probably plenty because again, it's the D4. It takes very little resin. So we're going to have a dollop of that and a dollop of either the blue purple or the wine red. This one's going to be clear, and then I'm going to be doing gold resin. So let's make ourselves some gold resin. Get up that little piece of resin on there. I want that to be fairly pigmented as well, because I do want this one to be kind of opaque. I don't think it's going to take very much. It's not going to actually take very much resin, so I think we're probably good there. Yeah, I think that's probably good. And then the other like spare D4 and keychain, they'll just be done with whatever extra resin we have. So let's see here. Let me set some of this stuff up and out of the way. Up and away. Really though, I just want it out of the way. I guess we'll leave the nightshade over there for now. I do need to coat these moons in a little bit of UV resin just to protect them because they are paper. They are paper, and I don't want them to get like, I don't want to end up sanding them. I've done that before. Does not work out well. So let's cover them in a little bit of resin instead. Just so that, like, where they're up against the molds, it's resin and not paper. Because if I sand off a little bit of UV resin, that's fine. Sand off a little bit of paper, it doesn't work out. Alright. Plug in a little UV light over here. This is not the cleanest mat here, but I think we're okay. Like I said, I don't know if I want to do the larger moons or the smaller moons or like one of each. There's some options there. I guess I'll cover these in resin and then see how they fit into the molds. See if there's one that I prefer. Okay, let me pull out my fancy UV resin tools, which is just a couple of pins, a couple straight pins. But I think we're going to put like a drop of resin on each of these and smear it around. They're big enough. They're big enough they could take a full drop of resin. Okay. There we go. There we go. So this is just some like, this was actually like a sticker paper that I found while I was looking through my random ribbons and stuff container. So, you know, I was looking for something gold that I could cut into a moon shape. And then I found some like holographic paper that was sticky on both sides, like a sticker, not in like a where did this sticky part come from sort of way. And so I cut that kind of in half, not all of it, but a piece of it, and stuck those together, and then made it so that it was double-sided, and then cut out my little moons from there. But I do want to protect them. Trying to get it so that it's coated. The resin likes to try and move towards the center of the object, so it's trying to not stay. So I'm kind of making it go over the edge a little bit, because I'm realizing that that's protecting it a little bit better, and it's also staying where I tell it to stay. Especially for these smaller ones, definitely need that. Otherwise, it's not going to cover it very well. Yeah, there's that one. And I can always then cut the excess resin off too. Alright, let's blast these with a little bit of light. Since that's UV resin, that's how you cure it. I mainly do 2-part resin for the dice, but for little things like this, the UV resin works well. Yeah, I don't know, I feel like the 2-part resin, like, you know, this is just me, but I feel like the stuff that I have, it sands down better and polishes better than the UV resin. Don't know. It could just be that I'm used to using the 2-part resin, but I don't know, if I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff and using a lot of resin, the 2-part's just cheaper too. Because, you know, I have my little bottle of UV resin, my big things of 2-part resin. Okay, I'm going to cook that one more time. And then I'm going to flip them over and cook the backs too, in case there's a little bit of UV resin that got stuck under there. Since light can't really travel through the paper. Yeah, but yes, the real question now, do I use the big ones or the small ones or one of each? I think maybe the big ones, because I think maybe they'll be, yeah, I was going to say maybe they'll be more visible, but the small ones probably will be fine. Let me look at the inside of the mold here. Let me flip these over. Just flip them over in case there's any resin on the back. Because I'm used to putting like stuff like that into like the D20s, but the D10s, there's kind of a different amount of space compared to the number on the side. I guess it'll be different for the one with double digits too, but because I was gonna say maybe the larger one, because I'm used to, like with the D20, I do the larger one so that once you fill in that number, you can still see it. But I think there's actually a space here where I could put the smaller one and it wouldn't end up overlapped with any of the numbers at all. So that might be the way to go. Let me see how it fits in here. Let's see how these look. Yeah, let me cut off a little bit of the extra resin here because there's a bit. Let me see. Let me see. I'm thinking I might be able to put this like right above the number. Almost in like the point, but not quite. Ah, come on. Ah! It's trying to escape. Get back in there. There we go, yeah. I think I'm going to do the smaller ones. So let me see if I can show you where I have that. I have it kind of, yeah, see I have it kind of in the corner there so that it's not actually blocked by any of the numbers. So I think we'll do that. But again, I could do one of each too. Let me see how the other, where did the lid go? Oh, there's the lid. It's like, where did the lid go for that? Let me see how this D10 looks. Oh yeah, that one would have plenty of space too, but I could do a larger moon. Let me see how the larger moon looks in there. See which one I like better. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of just extra really thin resin along the sides that I might as well get rid of. It's not doing anything to help, it's just being kind of funky. Okay, let's see if how this larger moon. Oh, see, that could work too. I might do a larger moon in one and a smaller moon in the other, just because it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun that they're different. But both of them I think will be kind of in that upper part, so that they're not really affected by the numbers too much. Come on, work with me here. If I can get it to the right spot. There we go. So, that one maybe be in the resin a little bit more. There you go, you can see it in there. Yeah, I think that's good. We're gonna do that. One small, one large. I'll set these spare ones off to the side somewhere. We'll just set those over here for now. But that does mean that we're done with the UV resin here, so I'll put this away. Oh. You know, I got a reasonable amount of sleep last night, but I stayed up, well, no, I didn't stay up late the night before that. I got up early yesterday. And, I'll probably sleep really well tonight. Wait, what is today? She said it. Oh, I need to get up tomorrow, too. Never mind. It never ends. It's just an endless cycle of having to get up. Well, I say get up early. I'm streaming at noon. I'm used to getting up at like 11. Since I'm making my own schedule, I'm just like, yeah, getting up at 11, going to bed at 2. That seems nice. Okay, I think we've got everything. Oh, except for the pearlescent white. Let's get these ones put in here. So this one, I don't know if only actually need a ridiculous amount of the pearlescent colors, because I can make it look pearlescent and also add some white ink to make it a little bit more opaque. But we're still going to add a bit, because we're going to be making about 40 milliliters of this, because it's going to take about 30 milliliters for a full set, and then like a third of another set of dice. So let's add quite a bit of that, and I'm going to add some of a slightly larger sparkle, so this one's like really fine, and it's going to give kind of a sheen to it, but this one's going to give more of a sparkle to it. So I like having the mix if I'm doing something kind of pearlescent, so it has a little bit of the sparkle and a little bit of the sheen. And then we'll add a little bit of white ink for opacity. make it so that you can't see through it. I'm gonna set these off to the side. If we need more, we can always add more, but it's just easiest to add the powdered pigments now before I'm covered in resiny goop. Okay, so we've got that. We've got all of our colors. I think we're ready to pour resin. Oh, let me figure out what leaves we're doing actually before we do that. Just one final thing. Just because I don't have to try and break all of these apart. So for the D6, we're going to do kind of a mix of leaves. So I'm going to grab just some smaller ones and set them here. I'll probably stick those in individually. Let's see here. A little bit of that. Yeah, I pulled out more leaves than I was going to need. But I wanted like, it's kind of like plants. Like, I like when there's like a mix, you have a whole bunch of plants, but there's like a mix of color and texture there. That's one of my favorite things with plants. It's like you have some tall grasses, you have some like shorter things with big leaves. All of those, just the mix is nice. Grab. And we're going for kind of autumn-y stuff. Let's see what we got here. I like these leaves. Let's see if I can get it so you can see. I don't know why. I mean, they're so tiny, but they've got like a lot of detail to them, I guess. Let's break up one of those. I think that'll fit in there. Do I want to grab any of the rest of this? I could grab some. Grab some of that. There's like some more brownish stuff in here. I think that's probably good. Yeah. I'll grab that out. We won't necessarily use that piece. It's maybe a little bit bigger. I'll show you. I'll show you the leaves that I've grabbed. Put that off to the side too. Here's the leaves that I've grabbed. Probably won't use all of them, but it'll be a little bit more autumny, I think. So that's what we're going for. And that one's gonna be a dirty pour with that and black and okay. Yes. Let's get our resin stuff going. I might need to pull that back out again at some point because it does have my instructions on it, but hopefully I can remember what I'm doing. I just grab one last swig of tea. And we'll get our resin out. I'm gonna need to clean my mixing cups at some point. I put clean ones up here, but I've been going through my clean ones. Alright. So I'm gonna get my safety equipment on, which means my gloves and my respirator. Because resin does put off fumes and can cause like skin irritation. Apparently, like if you get it on your skin multiple times, you can develop like an allergy to it, which I have found is true. Pretty sure. Because I used to be weird and not take good safety precautions, and I wasn't even using gloves. And now, if I like touch resin at all, like my eyelids get like super dry and itchy, which is a weird. That's not an allergic reaction I usually get to things. All right. So I'm gonna be. Wow, it's so old. Just a second. Let me wipe this down. There's so many like face oils. So many like face oils in here. It's kind of gross. I've been wearing this so much. That's a little bit better. I should figure out how to clean that out even better at some point. Alright, so I'm going to be a little bit muffled for the rest of the stream. I'm going to sound a bit like this. But, you know, gotta be safe. Gotta be safe. Alright. Pull out our 2 parts of resin. Here's the resin itself. And here is the hardener. I just got more recently, if you can tell by how full these bottles are. I am going to go a little bit quiet here as I pour, because I cannot measure and talk at the same time. So you'll just have to bear with me for half a second here while I get some resin into my mixing cup. Be right back. So close. One more little drop. Okay, there's that. So there's the resin. Let me get this up and out of the way. And let's get our hardener. Oh, I haven't even opened this hardener. I had a little bit of hardener left in my old bottle, so I used that first. Let's get this one open. All right. All right. Again, give me just a second. I'm gonna pour this one as well. Get this to the right level. That's right, but like a drop. Okay. And there's that. And now I am back, because this will take a minute to stir. So, get this all mixed up. And we can chat for a bit. Oh. So, how are you all doing? I'm working on commissions today, and I have some other commission stuff that I need to work on too, but not today. So some of that might get done on Wednesday, but next Saturday I think I'm going to do some painting. It's been a while since I've done some painting, and I really miss it. I thought of so I was trying to explain. Was it on Wednesday? I was trying to explain why I didn't want to paint for a living, because obviously I like doing the arts and stuff, and it's because I don't want to have to try and paint something that someone else will like, which maybe sounds a little bit weird, but I like doing weird avant-garde things when it comes to painting. Like, I like doing still lifes and stuff like that too, and landscapes and all that sort of thing. But I like the crow painting that I did recently, where I glued a whole bunch of things to the canvas. Like, you know, I like how that turned out and everything, but it's maybe a little bit weird. I like experimenting and doing weird stuff too much to have to try and make something that other people are gonna like when it comes to painting. Like with dice, I can experiment and stuff, and to be fair, even if I don't like how it turns out, quite often someone else will. But there's a different amount of there's like a different amount of experimentation that I can do with the resin, and there's a different amount of time and energy and stuff involved. Because quite often with the resin, if I experiment and the dice don't turn out or something, it's just like,
okay, I just spent an hour or something pouring the resin, and it didn't turn out. But with like painting and stuff, I don't know. There's a big time commitment and stuff there, time and energy commitment, depending on what it is. Like, you can definitely experiment with painting too, and have something that turns out really interesting and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I don't want to have to make things that people like when it comes to painting. I'd rather just make things that I think are interesting. And that's not necessarily marketable. But I'm more than happy to make resin things that hopefully other people like. That's part of the fun of this, I think. That's so I like resin for the same reason that I like doing soap. And that's that like the basic structure of what I'm doing is the same, so I know what I'm doing. You know, I mix the resin, I mix in pigments or something along those lines, and then I put them in a mold. You know, I know how it works. But I can use different materials and stuff within that for different effects. Like cold process soap, which is fun to do. You can put almost anything you want in there as long as it's skin safe. Like, and you can do all sorts of different designs and colors and patterns and everything, which is just a lot of fun. Like, there's a lot of experimentation that can be done, but the process is the same every time. Um, I guess what I enjoy about painting is changing up the process. Maybe you're using the same materials, but you're changing how you're using them. I have a series of one by one canvases that they're hanging in the other room, but they are ugly. Like they aren't pretty, and I didn't mean for them to be pretty, but they're all interesting. Like there's you know there's it's usually thought of as almost like a an insult if someone just looks at like your artwork and is like interesting. But those paintings, like, the purpose of them is for people to go interesting, because my whole goal with them was to see how I could manipulate the canvas. So like I have holes cut into some of them. I have some of them where I broke the frame. Um, Things where I sewed into the canvas with like some twine. Like there's all sorts of different things, and they're all in like weird pastels and grays and stuff. But it was just a fun experiment to see what I could do. Um, and there's certain things that I pulled from there, and I'm like, I could make something that looks really cool with this concept. And there's one that I want to do at some point, because one of them I like cut a slash into the canvas and then had like paint dripping out. But the colors and stuff that I chose, like, it wasn't super noticeable. Like the paint was kind of hard to see, like, so it was hard to see the concept. But I really want to do that again, where I do like, I'm not sure, like either black canvas was just like a rainbow spilling out, or do something where like there's a slash in the canvas and then all the colors spill out to form the picture or something, but it still looks like it's all dripping out of this gash, or something, or slightly covers up the photo or something. Ooh, I have some ideas now. I feel like, yeah, there's a couple of ideas I have now. Man, I just like doing stuff that's like multimedia or manipulates the canvas. I think I got my love for that. I took a painting class back when I was in high school. Um, this is getting pretty close to mixed, by the way, but there's still a few little streaks, I think. Um, I took a painting class. It was back when I was in high school, but it was at the local community college. And for like our final, we made our own canvases. So we got like the canvas fabric, we got wood, and we built the frame, and we pulled the canvas over it, and we gessoed the canvas, which is like an initial layer of paint, so that when you paint on top of that, it doesn't soak through, so it actually will stay on the canvas. Um, and we did like we made collages out of various magazine clippings, and then painted those. And in my collage, I had a clock. There was a clock in my collage. And so for the clock, I went and painted like the clock face and everything. And then I went and got like a little like clock kit with like the hands and stuff, and put a battery in it. and I cut a little hole in the canvas and I attached that to the back of the canvas. And so the painting had an actual working clock in it. And that was just like, it's just like, I want to do more of this. I want to do more weird stuff like this where it's not just a painting on a canvas, but it has something else going on. And like, I love just painting too. I did another painting class more recently. And you know, that was like a lot of still lifes and landscapes and mostly still lifes. You know, just learning about values and different painting techniques and that sort of stuff. We did do one abstract painting that was all about like figuring out color and stuff. And I did do a thing where I added like some string and stuff to that just because, you know, I like doing multimedia stuff. But for the most part, that was all just painting. But I don't know, I want to get back into doing some other stuff. I have an idea now for a painting though. I think, you know, I need to figure that out. I'll get that figured out. And let me figure out, let me get the idea cemented before I tell you guys about it. But alright, let's see here. I think this is looking pretty good. I don't see any streaks, I don't think. Not seeing, I think it's all, let me just do this. Streak that. Yeah, I think we're all mixed. Okay. Let's see here. What do I want to start with? I think I want to start with this one. That's the one that's going to be the kind of a reverse dirty pour. And the reason I want to start with that one is because I want the resin to move around a lot. And that's going to work the best while the resin is the runniest. I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to move on to the one with the leaves, because I want to stick those in the resin so that I know that there's no air trapped. So let me do this. And I want about 40 milliliters, so I'm going to go down to 60. And about 10 more. Where am I at? Oh. Okay, perfect. Mix this up. This is going to be our pearlescent white. I might need to add more of the pearlescent. We'll see. I'm going to add some, might be okay. I'm going to add some white ink as well, and that'll make it more opaque. And hopefully we'll keep the shimmer and the sparkle. This is a good opaque white. See how that looks. See if it stays shimmery. Oh yeah, that actually, I feel like that almost made it more shimmery somehow, because you kind of have the white behind the shimmer. It makes it easier to see somehow. I'll see if I can show you. It's hard to show off like how shimmery something is, I found on the camera, just because of the way the light works. Like it tends to, I end up with glare. Might add a little bit more white though. I think I want it a little bit more opaque, but let's see if I can show you. Yeah, you can kind of see this. You can kind of see the shimmer there. Yeah, a little bit of shimmer in that. It looks more shimmery in person, I think. But here, I'm gonna add a couple more drops of white, just to try and make it a little bit more opaque. Yeah, I think that's better. Because I want it more pearl. I don't want it like too see-through. Alright. So I'm gonna do this one set first, like I said. I'm not going to add a ton of this white, because most of this needs to go to the other part, but I'm going to add about, the idea is about a third. So let's see, I just want to add a little bit to each. Yeah, this is gonna be a little bit of a guessing game as I try to figure out how much is a third. And if this is a little bit messy, that's fine. I want this stuff to kind of come up anyways. Maybe about 2. Okay. Definitely need to add more to the 20 and the D12. Maybe about a third. And a little bit more to the D10s, D8. A little bit more to the D20. Okay, I think that's good. If it's a little bit less or a little bit more, that's fine. But what I wanted to do is I want to add a drop. I'm going to add a drop of let's do the yellow first, I think. I'm going to drop it the yellow and try and do it kind of on one side. That's fine. Drop the yellow. And then I'm going to do a drop of the blue. And try and do that kind of at a different side. Oops. No, that went down in there. That's the important part. Oops. Trying to get this. That yellow just took over everything, didn't it? Okay. And then we're going to do a drop of the pink as well. So I'm trying to get kind of a rainbowy effect, but we'll see how that goes. This is kind of hard to navigate. And just in the middle here. Alright. And then I'm going to pour clear on this. I'm going to see what happens. I'm actually going to pour it from up here because I want this stuff to get displaced. Whoops! Maybe not that much. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what happens here. So a lot of these, the colors coming up. The D20, something weird happened with the D20. It's like all of the color I displaced it way too much on the D20. But, okay, it looks like the color's kind of coming up. I think we might be okay. Yeah, this might be interesting. I don't know, this is a little bit of an experiment just to see what happens. Let's add, I'm going to steal a little bit of the resin, I think, from the D20 that I added way too much of on the D20. Move that over to these. Oof. So doing a little bit of extra resin. I'll put that on there, because that will get used up. Basically, so there's air bubbles and stuff, that little tiny air bubbles in the resin, and I want to here, a second, this is making a mess. I'm putting these in a pressure pot and squishing all those air bubbles down until they're really, really small. That's the idea anyways. And so I need something to fill in that space, and to do that, you want a little bit of extra resin. So I want these to be domed a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of resin onto the lids as well. Part of that is just so that air doesn't get trapped in the numbers. So I don't actually need a ton on the lids, but I want enough that I can make sure there's no big air bubbles that get trapped. Alright. Let me set these off to the side. I'm going to set these on my my little tray here that I used to put them into the pressure pot. Get them out of my way. So, yeah, put these are going to be off screen, but that's the idea is to get them out of my way anyways. Yeah, I wonder how rainbowy these will end up. I guess we'll see. And see that? I don't know. Might be weird. Might be weird. Hopefully it's weird in a good way. Alright, we want to do the leaves next. Like I was saying, I want to be able to dip the leaves into the resin. So that I can make sure there's no air bubbles. And let's see, a D6 takes like a little bit less than 5, I think. A little bit less than 5 milliliters of resin. Just judging by my fate dice, and okay, that should be plenty. And I don't want a ton of foil. Yeah, I think that's good. Doesn't have a ton of foil. There's definitely foil in there. It's noticeable, but alright. So we're going to take these and we're going to dip them individually and then put them into the mold. I'm going to start out, I think, with the actual, oh gosh, let go. The nightshade, which is kind of the focus. And those look good, so I'm just going to set those into the mold. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so sticky. It's so sticky. I mean, I should know this by now that it's so sticky. The things are sticking more than usual though. Alright. I think I definitely want that red piece in there because that'll kind of tie in some of the other colors. Let's pour, I think, some of this resin in. I'll pour it in with the leaves. Yeah, alright. Just kind of trying to fill this up. I'm trying to get the leaves kind of spread out a little bit, but like all in so that so it looks good. Oh, I might have just the right amount of resin too. Get that there, perfect. Get these last few leaves in, I think we'll be good. Cool. I think that was actually just the right amount of leaves and just the right amount of resin. We add this last little bit to the lid and we'll be good. We'll add another drop. Again, we want a little bit of extra resin. I'll put that out of the way. Okay, let's see. Next, let's do our ombre, because I want those to kind of mix together a little bit. And then I think maybe we'll do our other D8 idea right after that. That doesn't mean that I think I want to mix my red-violet and see how that looks. Yeah, let's try it. We're going to try mixing our red-violet and see what happens. And I can mix a bit of this one. How much do I have left? Yeah, we're doing good. Probably want almost like 10 milliliters of this. This is going to be used multiple days. I could probably do almost 15, but I'm going to do 10 milliliters or so of that. So I think that we're going to end up using a bit of it. I don't want very much of this purple. Ooh, that's more purple than I need. We could try and get rid of some of it, but try and pick up some of this purple. Because this stuff is just so dark. Alright, and then a drop of red. Let's mix that up and see how it looks. See if we need to change anything. Okay, actually, you know, I think I got it maybe first try. I'm almost impressed. Well, I am kind of impressed. I'm kind of, amazed, I guess, that I got this first try. Because I think that's the color that I want. Just make sure it gets mixed up all the way. That's definitely kind of a wine color. See, there's kind of a wine color. Yeah, alright, cool. I think we're good. Yeah. Let's pour some of that into here. I don't need very much at all. Just a dollop. Yeah. Do I need more than that? Maybe. Alright. We may end up needing a little bit more than that, but that's okay. Let's add a dollop into here as well. Because I need these to add up to about 5 milliliters. Yeah, maybe I'll add. Okay, there's that. And then the lightest pink. Add some for that too. I think I actually need the least of the darkest color because it's going to be the most noticeable. Like, it's easier to see the darker colors than it is the lighter colors. So that'll work out just fine if I have the least amount of that. Okay. Stir sticks. Alright. Let's mix that up and see how that looks. Ooh, I think that the mix of gold and copper was a good call. So I think that's going to be a pretty combo. I'll show you. Looks good with the... I really should do more foils and iridescent flakes. You know, it doesn't show up as much for you. The copper sort of color. But it's good. Alright, let's get our other colors in here. Our rose pink. I don't know if that's mixed up all the way because that didn't seem very pigmented at all. Well, we'll mix that up and see how it looks. This one is definitely more pigmented. Okay. Let's mix that up, see how it looks. Yeah, that's very, very bright pink. Very bright pink. The idea is to kind of transition things a little bit. And let's see how this pink looks. Yeah, this one's a very light pink. I think I'm going to add a little bit, another drop of this pink. It's just a little bit too light. Alright, there we go. I want it light, but maybe not that light. If you know what I mean. Like, there we go. The one in the middle, actually, I think is not quite match as well. So that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, I want to do, I think, the lightest color towards the highest number, because that way if you roll it and you get the highest number, it'll have the lightest color on top. And darker colors tend to feel heavier. So it makes sense to me to have the heavier color, as it were. It's not actually heavier, but visually heavier color at the lower side of the die. so that it feels luckier. I guess that's kind of funny. Yeah, I want it to feel luckier. Add some of this brighter pink. There's a cat hair, as there always is. And then some of our darker wine color. I'm going to add this darker wine color to our lid as well. Let me try and get out some of these larger iridescent flakes because those kind of get in the way of the lid sometimes, which is unfortunate. There we go. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. Got a little bit of extra of these colors. We'll use those for you know. We'll start with the D4 and the the keychain, and then I'll probably make some little spare crystals for a different project. Alrighty, this one. Oh, yep, I want to do this. This is the mica powder. Again, I don't need very much of this. I probably added way too much. Yeah, I added way too much mica powder for this. But let's see how this ends up looking. Yeah, I added way too much mica powder for the amount of resin that I have in here. I might need to add a little bit more resin just because it's so pigmented. I think I did get the color that I wanted though, so that's good. It actually ended up looking more like the phthalo blue than anything, I think. Which is fine, because it's kind of a bluish purple. But now, let me show you. Yeah, it looks very blue on screen, but it's a little bit more purpley in real life. And it'll definitely look more purpley, I think, with the wine red color. Which I'm going to do a little bit of the wine red with our gold foil here. And a little bit more. I'll leave about 5 milliliters of this, but you can use a little bit over here with the gold. Because this one we want a little bit of gold foil in there, because we're going to do kind of a Petri. So we'll do that. Let's add all of that to our D8 mold. Yeah, we're trying 2 different D8 designs just to see which one looks better. Because there was a couple of ideas, and like I don't know which idea I like better. So. Alright. I might add a little bit of this to the lid, actually. Get kind of that mix in there. Right. I'm going to use as much of this as possible and get that as full as possible, because I don't actually want too much of that the blue purple. I just want enough that you can kind of see it like sinking into the wine color. Alright. Okay. Because this has a lot of pigment in it, and I don't want to make the dye brittle or anything. Okay. That should be good. Put a little bit on the lid here. Alright. Set that one off to the side as well. Last little bit of resin. We'll just put that on the lid. Get that off to the side out of the way. Alright, let's see here. What else we're going to do? So this one, I'm going to put this in here with some clear resin. So let's do that first. And then I'm actually going to wait a bit. I want to add the gold once this is a little bit thicker, so that'll work out. And the reason for that is that I don't want it to cover up the feather. So I want to give the feather a little bit of a buffer and that'll be easier if the resin's a little bit thicker. So give that a minute. Let's pull that up with my hands. Alright, let's do our D20. Actually, that one I think we're gonna do, yeah, let's do the D20. This one, how much resin do I have left? About 10 mil, okay. Hopefully we have enough resin for everything. If not, that's fine actually, but so this one, I'll just mix this up a little bit. So it's just clear resin, a little bit of gold foil, not very much at all. I don't want a lot because this is going to have some other things in it. And then we have our little skull here, and we want some black smoke. And I was kind of thinking this might be kind of cool if I tried to make it look something like the smoke's coming out of the bird skull a little bit. So we're gonna try something, and we'll see how it goes. This could go horribly wrong. I'm gonna take a little bit of the black. I'm just gonna put it on the inside of this skull here. Oops, maybe. I'm gonna try and get some of this black. I'm kind of put it inside the skull next to where the eye sockets are. And we're going to put that into the resin. Oops. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to try and put that into the resin. Don't think that did much. I'll grab my tweezers. Yeah, that didn't really do much. Well, alright, so change of plans. We're going to swirl a little bit of black in there and then we'll put the bird skull in. And the reason I'm doing the black first, and I'm actually going to add a couple of the flowers as well, so that it doesn't all end up at the top. Because if I tried to do it after the bird skull was in, it would just be difficult. To try and swirl something around in there. Alright, so let me grab our bird skull again and we'll try this again. And I did make sure that, I did make this so that the bird skull would fit inside of the D20, so there we go. Let's finish filling in. Also, that black smoke should move around a little bit as I pour in more resin too, so that works out just fine. I might have needed a little bit more resin though. Yep, I might need a little bit more resin. We might not do the the D12 today. We'll see. Which is fine. I can do this in a couple of sittings. Yep, I'm gonna need a little bit more resin. Luckily, it's just clear resin with some gold foil, so if I add a little bit of clear, it's not gonna be super noticeable. Let's add a couple more flowers though, for sure. So we only have 3 in there at the moment. We want a couple more. And I'm hoping that they stay kind of spread out. That's always, you never quite know. Because they can get air trapped in them, so they can end up floating and all that sort of fun stuff. But alright. Get as much of this in there, even though it doesn't really have any gold foil left in it. Let's use as much of that from there as possible, just get it out of the way. Yeah, I'm gonna need a little bit more resin. That's fine. That's fine. I really should measure these and figure out exactly how much resin each die takes. I just kind of know roughly, and then I know how much a full set takes. But that's fine. Put a little bit more black in there. Maybe not. Oh. Let's not get my glove screwed into the lid of that. That'd be good. I'm going to add one more flower, I think. It's right here at the top. Put a little bit more clear. Alright, let's put those over here. Oops, that was the wrong container, but that's fine. Alright. A little bit clear on the lid. There's our D20. Let's get that out of the way. Hopefully there's no big air bubbles trapped in the skull or anything. That'd be no fun. Alright. So we've got our wine red. So let's use that. Yeah, this one is a moon and a feather. So let me put the feather in, actually. Yeah. So I want this kind of to complement the moon, but not like be so like close. I don't know. I don't want it to be too I don't know what I want the focus to be. Probably I want the moon kind of to be the focus. It's kind of the bright point. I do want the feather to be visible. Come on. There we go. There we go. I finally got it in there so that it actually stays in. I'm going to pour this in. And we've got plenty of this, so that's good. We've got a little bit left over, which is nice as well. So we can use that for something also. Let's add one more drop. Okay, cool. That's going to get used in, I'm sure, either the D4 or the keychain. That's a good color. Alrighty. Let's see if this has another little bit of clear here. So I want this feather. This feather's going to get, hopefully, covered with some gold. Which reminds me, I should actually make the gold. I don't think that's going to take a lot of gold resin. Again, I probably added way too much pigment, but that's okay. I have a nice bright gold color. It's going to be kind of the backing for this black feather. That's the idea anyway. D4. Yeah, I think maybe the D12 I'm going to do later. I don't think I have quite enough resin to do all of these things. D12 I'm going to do later. And then, should I try and do the D10 now? The D4. I think we might have enough for the... I think we have enough for the D10, so we could do that, and then we'd have our blue-purple as well. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to do our other D10. This is going to take probably the majority of this resin. And about 5 milliliters, I think. About 5 milliliters. Yeah, that should be about right. And we've got a little bit of extra in here that we can use for something if we need to, which we might. Alright. A couple drops of purple. And 1 drop of black, which is going to make it look a little bit bluer. It should anyways. There's a drop of black. And get the lid back on. There's so much like pigment caked on there. Alright. And if I need to, a little bit of blue. I think this will work though. So the purple, it doesn't look very purple at the moment. And part of that is because I found that the purple looks different while it's like being mixed into the resin, and then after it cures. It's kind of a brighter purple after it cures. It's a little bit more muted now. It's a very kind of bluish color, but I think this is actually the right color. It's kind of hard to see. See if I can get it so you can see. Kind of hard to see. Yeah, you can kind of see there. That really dark bluish color. I could add another drop of purple maybe, but I think that's not bad. Let's add one drop of purple, and then we'll call it good. Hopefully that's not too much purple. It's so dark though. Hopefully that's not too dark. Should I? I'm gonna dip those in some clear. Just the barest amount of clear to try and get these into where I want them. Along the sides. I dropped one of the buds there. Alright, yep, I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to pour in this dark color. And this doesn't take quite 5 milliliters for the D10s either, so yeah, my guess is that like the D6s, D10s, all that sort of D8s take just a little bit less than 5, maybe closer to 2.5 even. A little bit above 2.5, a little bit below 5. Alright, let me set this off to the side. Let me spritz all of these down too. There's quite a few air bubbles on the surface of these, and this should hopefully help break the surface tension on some of these and help the bubbles to pop. Alright. Yes. And I think we've got enough for our D4, so we'll just have the D12 that we need to do, and that's fine. It just needs some clear resin with the gold foil there, and we'll be good to go. A little bit of clear here. Oh, that's fine. So I'm making just some resin that has some kind of like white-ish. It's like white and then it shimmers gold. I'm going to put that with some black and some, probably the wine color. I think I'm going to go with the wine color. Although the D8 has that wine color. I don't know. I could use both maybe too. We'll see. Let's add this gold to this D2 though. I think we're to a point where we can add the gold. So it needs a little bit more clear in the corner. It has a spot where there's no resin. It's still in there. Alright, it's not actually that much space left, which is fine. I just want to kind of layer this gold over the top. I'm going to put that on the back here too, because I want this to be kind of like the back. I want, yeah, like a backing of gold. So I'm going to smear this along here as well. Just because we want kind of a smooth gold. There we go. Is there a hair in there or something? Alright. Cool. Set that off to the side. A little bit of gold left. Alright. So the D4. Okay. I think, let's see, for the D4, we'll do a little bit of this color. The dark blue purple. I kind of want to do, I think maybe instead of the black, actually. Let's do that instead of the black, and then let's do some of the red wine color for next to it. Let's do both of those colors in here. Yeah. That's kind of a weird way that I put those in there. Alright. I could still do, I'll still do a little tiny thing of black. These might end up way too dark, but we'll see. There we go. Does not take very much of the black, because that stuff spreads out. Alright. This stuff's getting very, very thick. I definitely need to go do the other dirty pour here soon. Before my time runs out. Oh good, I think I have kind of just the right amount of resin here. And on the lid. Ooh, we'll see if this matches or not, but I definitely like it. Even if it doesn't match, I might have to come back to this and do a scent like this. I like the all those colors. Really kind of makes the gold shine and stuff. Alright. Set that off to the side. So, for these, so I have a feather there. Use our last little bit of like clear with some gold and copper flake. Do that. Yeah, alright. Cool. So I think let's use our pink in here. Use a little bit of pink. And the other pink. Got lots of pink. Ah, come on. Trying to get that to go in. Okay. It's so thick at this point it doesn't want to flow quite how I want it to. Alright. Cool. It's actually flowing in there now. So we're gonna put the pink there. And let's do some of the wine color. Again, this is just kind of a way to get rid of some of these colors too. Use our extra resin. That's the goal here. So let's use all of that wine color, I think, with the stuff in it. Alright. Alright, last little bit. And then, let's see here. I think maybe we'll use our darker color here. A dark, like, blue-purple. And I think we're going to do a little bit of gold on top of that, and we'll call that good. Oops, I did it again. Oops, I did it again. There we go. Yeah, see if I can get this kind of filled up with this dark color. Alright, so that'll get rid of some of this color, I think. And I think we're going to use some of that stuff left over from the other D4 in the crystal D4 shape. And then maybe with something else. So I don't think I have that much left of it, but that'll be good. And then all that I will have left is the D12, which just needs some clear resin to go with it and a little bit of black smoke. Got the feather all ready for it. I just don't have quite enough resin left because of how I have everything else set up. I do need to go do this last set of dice, which is just going to be our pearlescent white with some blue. So that should be quick enough to do, hopefully. Because I can tell that I'm running a little bit out of time. Just because of how the resin is feeling. It's feeling a little bit thicker. Alright. And then we're going to add a little tiny bit of gold to this. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do like a gold keychain with this. And maybe like a gold like connector, whatever you want to call that. Loop. I don't know. We're going to do like a gold loop at the top of this, so that'll help tie it in using this last little bit of gold there. Yeah, alright, cool. There's that nice and full. Get that out of the way. Now for the 4. I was thinking of using some of the flowers left over, but I don't know that I will. I think we're going to use what's left of the dirty pour from the other D4. We're just going to scrape that into there. Get that all used up. That'll be good. Okay. And then let's maybe use up some of this. We'll use up some of this pink. Yeah, we'll use up some of this pink. Don't know if that matches the best, but I'm just trying to get everything used. Alright, use that. I'm going to use up a little bit, I think, of the brighter pink too, and then the some of this brighter pink. Why is there 2 in here? Why did I end up with 2 in here? One was from the other one. Alright, some of this brighter pink. And I might use some of this brighter pink over here. I need to make a few more crystals, so let's do a bright pink with some foil in it and a crystal. Plus then I can use some of that maroon wine. Wine's more the color, not maroon, but some of that wine color for this D4. Okay, there's that. I'm going to use some of this wine color for this D4. Alright. There's that. Use a little bit of this here too. Okay. So there's a little bit of resin left with that and a couple other things here. We'll use those in the crystals in just a second. But first, let's get this last set of dice poured. And these should go pretty quick. So we're just going to go down the line and do a whole bunch of pearlescent things. Let's a little bit of clear left. I can use that for those as well. Alright. I'm going to use our blue for this. So I'm going to take some of my pearlescent. I'm going to pour it off here. Put a drop of blue on that. That's gonna spread out a little bit, but I might help that along. Help that blue out a little bit and spreading out. And then we're gonna pour that into our mold. We should end up with kind of striations of blue along with the pearl. I think these probably be fairly, I don't know if simple's the right word, but not crazy designed dice. They should be, I guess simple works. Should be fairly simple dice. So much pearl here. Let's just put that in. Alright, I will come back to that in a minute. Add some more pearl. Alright. Oh my gosh, there's hair everywhere. That one's one of my hairs. That's not even a cat hair. Get that out of the way. Alright, let's try this in our D12. I'm kind of wiggling it back and forth because I want to get kind of some like streaks of color in there. That's my idea anyway. Kind of want some of the pearl, some of the blue. I kind of wish there was some other color in here, but I could always add some other color. Yeah, this is getting to the end of his work time. It's getting very, very thick, which is fine for dirty pours, but means I need to get the lids on here quick. So we're just gonna go with the design that it has and hope for the best. Now let's make a little bit more. Okay, let's go to the next one. I have enough resin here. I would think that I would, but maybe not. I do want to. Oh, hi, Sigillin. How you doing? You've been lurking? How's your day going? Working on anything fun? I am almost done because this resin is getting very, very thick. Doing good. Oh, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Oh man, yeah, I need to get the lids on these things. This resin is getting thick. Yeah, I do use kind of a thicker resin. It's a little bit more viscous, kind of honey-ish. But as time goes on, it gets thicker and thicker, and I can kind of tell when I'm nearing the end of my work time at this point. And this stuff is very, very thick, which means I do not have much time left. It takes a long time for everything to spread around and move. I'm gonna add one more drop to the D2. Cool, that's done. Get that out of the way. But yeah, I need to get a move on. Oh yeah, I think I'll have enough resin. Might be kind of close. Yeah, that's for a commission set that has some black feathers, and then it also has like nightshade flowers in it. which is a little bit fun, kind of spooky. I didn't get to the D12. I didn't have quite enough resin for that because of everything else that I was working on. So everything ends up with a little bit extra when I'm doing a set that has like a different design for each die. I end up doing like a little bit of extra resin with each color for those, and so I sometimes end up with not quite enough resin for all of them. But that's fine. To be honest, the streaming. I have a little notebook and I really should write down more of them. But there's been times where like I'll be working on a commission or something and I'll be like, something won't turn out but I need the color that I had from before. And I'll just like straight up go back to the VOD. So I do save them all. I have all, like them all saved on YouTube and everything. I'll go back to the VOD and be like, what colors did I use? So it's been nice for that. It's kind of funny how streaming has worked out for me like that, because it's worked out in that sense of like figuring out what I did, but also it's helped me figure out, like, you try to write it down. That's probably the smart way to do it. Like if I have a little notebook, I just have forgotten to actually use it, really. Alright, let's pour this last bit into here, and I probably could just do it out here, but yeah, as far as resiny hands, yeah, I usually will do it like after the fact. Be like, okay, what did I do? Yeah, I know what you mean. There are hands that are covered in gloves, which are covered in resin. It's like one of those old camp songs where there's hands in the gloves and the resin, something like that. Well, it just keeps going on and on. There's a hole in the bottom of the sea. And a frog in the hole in the bottom of the sea. Something like that. But for resin casting, of course. Okay. Hey, I was talking about that earlier. Yeah. When I first started doing resin, I didn't wear gloves or a respirator. And now if I come in contact with the resin at all, like, my eyelids get super dry and itchy. I'm just like, it's not even a shocked Pikachu face. I'm just like, yeah, I did that one to myself. But that was before I started working with resin a lot. I'd only worked with resin like a couple of times. Once I started doing the dice and everything, and I started doing it like, you know, every other day working with resin, I was just like, okay, I need to be more careful with my lungs and everything. Now that I'm going to be having more constant exposure to all the noxious chemicals. Yeah, this is very, very thick. You can kind of, I don't know if you can see, it's very viscous. Very viscous. That's what I'm saying. Ooh! Yeah, of course. I'm excited to hear how things turned out. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where, at this point, it's a little bit hypocritical if I were to, like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep talking, though. It'd be a little bit hypocritical of me to, like, shame anyone for not using appropriate safety measures with resin, because it's just like, yeah, I didn't either. But at the same time, I am a big proponent of, yeah, you should get a respirator and gloves and keep yourself safe. But ultimately, it's your own body and stuff, you know. Do with it what you will. It's not my call. Alright, let's use this last little bit on the lids and then we'll be good. Enough on the numbers to make sure that they... Now let's spread these down. Yeah, it's very, very sticky now. Oh, but the bubble still popped, that's kind of nice. hole at the bottom of the sea. Now I'm gonna have like a camp song stuck in my head because now I'm thinking of. I don't remember all of it. There's a hole at the bottom of the sea. There's a hole at the bottom of the sea. And I remember, but then there's like a frog in the hole in the bottom of the sea. I don't remember where it goes from there, to be honest. To be quite honest. I just know that there's a frog in the hole at the bottom of the sea. Or is there a frog on a log in a hole? There might be a frog on a log in a hole in the bottom of the sea. It might be something like that. It's been a long time since I've done camp songs. That was last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been out of high school for almost 10 years now. It's just so strange to me. Because it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it's just been that long. Yeah, this is at the end of its work time. We need to put the lids on these. Okay, so I'm going to put the lids on these. Once I'm done with that, we'll probably be done for today. Because I need to fill up my air compressor, and that's loud and everything. But let's get some lids on. We'll do the crystals if we have time. Yeah, it's late enough that my stuff is so sticky. I'm so sticky that I'm sticking to everything. That's a good indicator that we're at the end of our work time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, alright. Let's get all of our lids on. I'm going to spritz everything down again. Put all these lids on. We'll call it. Last little bit into there. I need that last little bit of resin. There's your D20. We'll see how these turn out. I'm kind of curious to see how the colors turn out on these, because it could turn out super bright and vibrant. They could turn out all muddied and muddied. We use both of those, muddled and muddied. But I don't know. I don't know how they're going to turn out. Alright. Popping some last minute bubbles on the lids here. Yay! That's exciting. Do you have a shop, Sigilin? Do you have like an Etsy or something where you sell all of your stuff? So you make really cool stuff. I'm just curious. There's if you do, there is a spot in like the Discord for posting like your shop and things, and if not, that's cool too. I was just curious. I know not everybody. Still a little soft, so you're not. That's fair. Oh, you have a Facebook page. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a spot for promoting yourself on the Discord. If you wanna post your socials. Yeah, that'd be good. I feel like all of your stuff is really pretty. Alright. Yeah, I need to get these on now. I'm kind of in that point where I'm just like, should I make a website or should I just continue to sell on Etsy? There's a certain amount of like convenience to selling on Etsy. And actually, I did the math and stuff, and it seemed like it was actually more. It made more sense financially for me to be on Etsy too, even though they take a cut, like compared to website costs and stuff. You know, it's like, I don't think that it would almost be more for me to make myself just my own website. Yeah, I have an Etsy. Yeah, it should be, I think, in the description or in my about section. I think there's a link to my shop. There's not a ton, like I restock it the first Friday of every month, so you know, Yeah, website costs is the thing, exactly. And like I said, there's a certain amount of convenience that comes with Etsy. I don't have to try and figure out the shipping labels myself, or the tax. Like, it does tax for me. I still have to, like, go in and say, declare my taxes and everything, but I don't have to try and calculate state, like, sales tax or anything. And I'm sure there's websites that, like, would make it so I didn't have to do that, but that are, like, built for shopping and things, but I don't know. There's a certain amount of convenience I'm willing to pay for and not having to figure things out. So at the moment, that's just easiest for me. Maybe if things get bigger. Because there's like a certain amount of like branding that you can do with your own site, I guess, that you can't necessarily do with just Etsy, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a toss-up. Pros and cons. Alright. What's this down? What is on? What is this? Got a piece of silver foil. Okay. The 6. But I'm trying to make this my full-time gig. Not streaming, but making dice. And I am going to start doing keycaps soon too. I finally got the things figured out, I think, for making molds. So that, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to start making keycaps as well. I've had people ask about those before, so I think other people might be interested as well. But that'll be, making keycaps will be nice. I can do different things with it because the weighting is not as important, and it's not going to take nearly as much sanding as dice take. So it'll be nice to do something that's not quite as sanding heavy, and that I can hopefully make like more of in the same amount of time. I'll continue to make dice, I would think, but you know, you hate sanding. Yeah, I don't mind it, to be honest. Like, it's one of those things where I just try to get it all done at once. But it definitely gets repetitive. My problem is that like my wrist recently has been hurting, which I'm pretty sure is from the repetitive motion of sanding a whole bunch. So, depending on what time it is, yeah, I may or may not sand some things today too. But yeah, no, sanding takes forever. Before I started making handmade dice, well, there's a couple things about before I started making handmade dice. The reason I started was because a D&D buddy was like, oh, might be fun to try making dice. I was like, oh yeah, I've done a little bit of resin stuff. That might be fun to try. I have this stuff for that. But like before I started making them, I'm like, why are they so expensive? Oh my goodness. I started looking into them, and I'm like, wow, these are really expensive. And now that like I've made handmade dice, I get why they're so expensive. Because I went and timed everything, and at minimum, it takes me 3 hours to make a set of dice. And that's not including like packaging and shipping and all that sort of stuff too. That's just the like pouring and sanding and inking and like a couple other little things in there. But man, they take so long to make. But also before I started making dice, the thing I almost didn't start making dice, and the one thing that like I was caught up on was that I did not think I'd be able to sand things well. And to be fair, I'm terrible at polishing. That's part of the reason I have a tumbler for that. I have a vibratory tumbler that I put everything in. But I was so worried because I'm not necessarily a detail-oriented person. I was so worried that like I would end up with terribly weighted dice and stuff. But now it's just like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's just kind of something that I do. I'm used to it at this point. Alright. Let's get these lids on. Hopefully these don't end up with any huge air gaps. I think there is some bubbles in these, but hopefully they end up okay. Yeah, there's definitely some air bubbles here. Oh gosh. Alright, let's get this on. Hopefully these don't end up with any huge air gaps. I think there is some bubbles in these, but hopefully they end up okay. Yeah, there's definitely some air bubbles here. Oh gosh. Alright, That's not what I want. I just dropped my yeah, just dropped that into the little thing there. Oh hey, the things popped while I was trying to wipe that off. Oh my gosh, so much hair. I really want to get a haircut. Like I obviously haven't gotten a haircut since the pandemic and the quarantine and stuff started. Man, I really want a haircut. I didn't, like, for a long while there, I just was just like, whatever, that's fine. I don't care. But now it's just like, I want my hair to be shorter again. I think my favorite length is about like cheekbone length hair. So I'm looking forward to being able to get a haircut again at some point. That'd be good. I'll make sure everything's settled down a little bit, cases wise and all that, but a friend was talking about trying to dye her hair, so might do it around the same time as that. We'll see. I don't know. To be fair, it'd be fun to dye my hair too. It's been a long while. To be fair, I probably should have done that during the quarantine when no one was going to see my hair. That's when a lot of people did fun things with their hair. I have terrible timing. Just a little bit late on the, hey, I should make my hair a fun color train. Yeah, these are at the end of their work time. So I'm going to get these lids on. I'm going to take half a second to try and put a bunch of this extra resin into some crystal shaped molds for a different thing. And then I'm going to hop off because I need to fill up my air compressor and it's loud. That's just loud. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to put some of those underneath other things to help hold the lids down because it's so thick. And so, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So loud. Alright. Here's our keychain, hopefully. Put that here. And then I have my little crystal molds here. Let's see if we can use any of this. I'm trying to use up any of this extra resin here. I luckily don't have like a ton left. So I think we're okay, but yeah, I don't know. It's nice to have. I'm doing a thing for someone who wanted a whole bunch of just crystals because I had some little crystal molds, and I'm so close to having the amount that we had talked about. So close. So I'm trying to get up to that amount. Let's put this here, I think. I'll put it with this clear blue. Put some clear wine color with this clear blue. That'll match well. Yeah, but yeah, use this up if I can. And yep. Hopefully this is not too brittle or something, because this is the one where I put a whole bunch of mica powder in here, so I don't know if this, I'll put this in maybe a slightly thicker one. Put it in a bigger rock mold, so there's not any like little thin pieces. And also a little tiny one, because then hopefully there's not any spots that it could break off. Alright. Let's add that there. I am going to, I think, there's that. have some clear here. I'm going to use the last little bit of clear, I think, in a spare D4 mold, because I like doing little spare D4s that I ship along with orders. Okay. That's just a spare D4. Let's do D4. Oh, sure. Okay. I'm going to use the clear resin, the leftover clear resin for that, with whatever other random crap I can put in there. They quite often, the spare D4s quite often end up with just random colors and stuff from whatever extra I have left over. It's kind of the same sort of vein as the spare D4 that I send along with the commissions. Just like, well, what's the extra resin that I have? Let's just throw that into a mold and send it along as a little bonus thing. But in this case, you know, it's a random one that doesn't necessarily match your. It can. I found like some. I've gone back and made some designs for like the spare. Most of the time it does, yeah. I've done that before where I've gone back and like stolen designs from just the random colors and stuff that I put into my spare dump molds. Just like, ooh, that's nice. We're gonna steal that and actually use that. Because those colors are good together, and I didn't think about putting those together. They just ended up together. I think that's pretty much all the resin. It's not quite enough, but I think that's low. It's low enough that I can leave the lid off, and then yeah, I'll leave the lid off of this, and then we'll do another layer. I know that I was so happy with how the watermelon ones turned out. I think it was Bosun that suggested those maybe, but man, yeah, I was really happy with those. It's like, oh, that's good. I had done a different set of watermelon ones before, and they turned out terrible. I don't think I ever showed anybody those because they just did not turn out. So I'm really happy with how these ones turned out. It's kind of funny, like failure to success. That is something. What pigments did I? Oh, I used a mix of pigments in that one. That was what was in that one? I used a resin pigment. I think I used resin rose that I just got kind of. They're fairly inexpensive. They're just listed as resin pigments on Amazon. I used a soap pigment, which is a mica powder. Oh no, it wasn't even mica powder, but it was a soap pigment from Brambleberry for the next pink. And then I used some like light green mica powder from a soap company as well. Brambleberry is technically for soap, but they have lots of mica powders in large containers, and other pigments, powdered pigments. So like this is from Brambleberry. So, and I did soap before I did resin, so I've just stolen some of the stuff that I used for that. And then, yeah, actually I think 3 of the pigments were from Brambleberry, because then I used hydrated chrome green pigment for the very darkest green color. So, I mean, you could check it out. They have some sample packs like this for various pigments, which honestly for resin is quite a lot. But you know, that's an option. It's kind of fun that you can just take things from other. They're meant for other things, but they work for resin. All right. Anyways, I need to go put these in the pressure pot. So thanks for hanging out. If you do have other questions and stuff about what pigments I use, feel free to just shoot me a message on Discord. I'm always happy to like talk about like dice and resin stuff. But thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys later. Bye!